Hello. Today is an interesting topic. The topic is love the opposite of fear? This is a very important thing to absorb and understand. So if you want to take a minute to grab a pen or paper or whatever you need to do, please do that because you may want to take some notes. So I'm going to come out and say love has no opposites. Love is a union of complementary opposites. So that then leads us to talk about what fear really is. There are only two types of fear ever present. The fear of loss of that which you seek and the fear of gain of that which you want to avoid. Now, this means that if you are, let's say, trying to get in a relationship or trying for that new job, which is going to give you that salary raise, and you are not getting that, then there is a fear of loss that you won't have that in your life. But that also means that you're fantasizing having that in your life. So fear, the opposite of fear is actually a fantasy and not. So instead, when you can take your fantasy and look at it from a new pair of eyes and become very realistic as to where it's a fantasy, which may be causing a nightmare on the other side for you or has the potential to cause a nightmare for you, then you become grounded and objective in your life. When you become grounded and objective in your life, you're bringing your attention to your executive center. And that is the part of your brain which is unbiased, objective, and rational. Now, when fear and fantasy come in, what is happening is all the energy and movement is toward the amygdala, where the stress response is sitting. And where the stress response is sitting, we act more like animals, functioning either in the predatory response or the prey response. So anytime we have a fear of loss, it's like we're going to get starved and we're going to die. So if we're going to get starved and die, that is us going into the mode of us being prey. So then we start to tell ourselves that we should hunt down something and do the opposite. But the opposite is us going in the predatory mode instead of coming to reality with the situation. So again, taking the example of a job, right? Or a relationship you want to have. Let's say you want to attract that new job that gives you that $10,000 raise. Or you want to attract a new relationship that will be better than the old one. So you have a fantasy that somehow things will be different in the new job. So I want you to look at what you are expecting to be different in this new job, which you think you'll get a raise of $10,000 with, and how you would like it to be different. And then make a plan to address how it will become different in the new job. Because otherwise, it's just going to stay as a fantasy without getting grounded in reality. And the reality is there's a fear associated with your current situation that is causing your nightmare. And because you have a nightmare, you're trying to push yourself toward positivity and attaching to a fantastic thought. So instead, if you ground yourself where you are right now, and taking the example of the job, if you look at what is causing your nightmare and take actions and steps to resolve that nightmare, then you are positioning yourself to move toward that new job and not recreating that nightmare. So I'm not saying that it's not okay to have a fantasy, but in order to have a real objective in life, you're going to have to ground it and look at how you want to change the situation that you are in currently without attaching a fantasy element to it. Now, the other example is in a relationship. Okay, the current relationship, you don't have communication with your partner at the level that you want it. Okay? However, you leaving the relationship doesn't mean you're going to get it in a new relationship. What you want to look at is where you're having a fantasy that you will always receive that. And instead, acknowledge that you're going to receive it sometimes and you're not going to receive it other times, and set your expectations down so that you do not have to put yourself in the mode of fantasy or phobia or nightmare, you may want to call it. So when you can ground yourself in a way that fantasy and nightmare are not attached in your situation, then you can build a realistic plan that will help you to get to the next step in your life. This way, you're turning a fantasy into a realistic plan, and you're moving in such a way that you have not a positive attitude, but a realistic attitude to what is going to happen in your life. So one of the things that I have learned, sometimes the hard way, is to not just ignore the negative and the fear-based responses that come up in my brain, and instead acknowledge them because they're actually bringing me a message. So instead of shoving it and walking all over it, get in the habit of seeing it for what it is and what it is trying to tell you, because it is still part of your intuition. There's a lot of confusion about what intuition is and that the voice of the soul is always positive, but that's not actually true. The voice of the soul wants you to be governed, it wants you to be unbiased, it wants you to be reliable, it wants you to be even and neutral at all times. That's the voice of the soul. That means you expect some things will turn out to your advantage and some things will turn out not to your advantage, and that you're okay with both. That you're not attaching to only having good things, which means you're only seeking comfort, and you're avoiding anything that is uncomfortable or painful in your life. You're going to get both in your life. So when you can prepare for both, you are going to be more grounded, you're going to be more present and objective and willing to see what is coming your way and take the actions and the steps necessary to manifest that into something more realistic and in line with the desires that you have for your life. This is the way that you start living in the energy of your soul. You don't live in the energy of your soul by just going to positive. I know a lot of spiritual teachers, a lot of personal development teachers teach that, and that is okay. There is a context behind why they say what they say and when they say it. But what I'm telling you right now is different. It's different in that I'm saying expect both in life. So this is one of the ways in which I have found in my own life that I've been able to navigate some extremely difficult situations with a sense of confidence and a sense of balance and a sense of rationality in my life. Okay? I invite you on the same note to take my free self-assessment if you haven't already done so. This is one of the topics we greatly explore in all the work that I do, whether it is in the challenges that I run or whether it is in direct coaching programs that I run. Have a good day.